Just like many men around the world, I gained a fascination with toy cars and dinosaurs at the tender age of 5 years old. Sadly, while I still love my Hot Wheels collection, it's now resigned to a box in the cellar, the one I still find interesting is dinosaurs. I used to sit for hours reading through books telling me the different types of dinosaurs, what they used to look like and what they ate, and how big they were compared to humans. Sadly, I later learned these books were filled with lies, as apparently dinosaurs were actually covered in feathers rather than scales, but that's beside the point. What inspired me to make this video was actually when I was playing Red Dead Redemption 2, and I came across a side quest given by a paleontologist uncovering a dinosaur bone. This paleontologist tasks you with finding several other bones to help her in her research. Arthur Morgan, the game's protagonist, doesn't really understand what a dinosaur is and questions if they are real, thinking of them more as big lizards. Now that got me thinking, how exactly were dinosaurs first discovered? What did the people who found them think they were? And how did the general public react to the discovery? Well, if you want to find out more, make sure to stick around because this short 7-minute documentary will cover all and more. And if you like this video, please subscribe and let me know in the comments if there are any other topics that you would like to see me cover. Fossils have been discovered and studied by human beings for thousands of years. The earliest known record of fossils come from ancient civilizations such as the Egyptians, who used fossils for decorative and religious purposes. But the first ever recorded scientific study of fossils can be traced back to the ancient Greeks. The Greek philosopher Xenophanes of Colophon, who lived from the years 570 to 475 BC, and was the first to suggest that fossils were actually the remains of extinct animals and not simply odd-shaped stones. The Greek naturalist Aristotle also studied fossils and classified them based on their resemblance to living organisms. In the centuries that followed, the study of fossils continued to be part of natural philosophy and was not really yet considered a distinct field of study. With the development of geology in the 18th century, fossils became more widely recognised as important indicators of Earth's history. And it's hard to actually pinpoint when the first fossil was discovered, as fossils, like we just said, have been found for thousands of years. But Mary Anning's discoveries of dinosaur fossils in the early 19th century are considered to be some of the first and most significant in the history of paleontology. The study of dinosaurs and other prehistoric creatures began properly in the early 19th century, as scientists and amateur fossil hunters began to uncover a wealth of fossilised remains. Fossils had been found in the past, with the earliest recorded dinosaur fossil being dated to 1677, discovered by Robert Plot, but at the time he actually assumed it was evidence of a giant human. There are also several other cases of individuals finding parts of dinosaurs, such as William Buckland in 1819, who found the first dinosaur tooth, which he later recognised as belonging to a large carnivorous animal. Buckland would later go on to describe the Megalosaurus, the first dinosaur genus to be named in 1824. Or there was also Gideon Mantell, a physician and amateur geologist, who in 1822 discovered some teeth and bones in Sussex, England, which he initially thought belonged to a giant iguana. He later recognised that they actually belonged to an extinct reptile, which, unsurprisingly, he named Iguanodon. But the most significant discovery can be attributed to Mary Anning and her brother Joseph, who found the first nearly complete skeleton of the ichthyosaur in Lyme Regis, Dorset in England in 1811, and her story is fascinating. Mary Anning was born in 1799 in Lyme Regis, which is a coastal town in the south of England. Her family was poor and her father worked as a cabinet maker and a fossil collector. He introduced Mary and her brother Joseph to the hobby of fossil hunting, and they would often search for fossils along the nearby beaches and cliffs. After her father's death in 1810, Mary and her brother continued to collect and sell fossils to tourists and scientists to help support their family. In 1811, at the age of 12, Mary discovered her first major fossil, which was the ichthyosaur skeleton. This discovery was significant because it was the first complete skeleton ever found, and it helped to disprove the long-standing belief that these creatures were merely sea monsters. Over the next few years, Mary made several other important discoveries, including the first complete plesiosaur skeleton and several pterosaur fossils. Mary's discoveries helped to change the way scientists thought about the history of life on Earth. Prior to her discoveries, it was believed that Earth was only a few thousand years old and that all species had remained unchanged since their creation. Mary's fossils, however, were clearly the remains of extinct animals that had lived millions of years ago. This evidence supported the idea of a longer history of the Earth and helped to lay the foundations for the theory of evolution. And sadly, despite her important contributions to the field of paleontology, Mary received little recognition during her own lifetime. At the time, paleontology was not a profession for women, and her discoveries were often credited to the men who purchased them or to more prominent scientists who then studied them. Mary was not able to participate in the scientific societies and had difficulties publishing her findings. However, in recent years her contributions have been acknowledged and her story is now widely celebrated as an example of a pioneering woman in science. But the question persists, what do people actually think about these new discoveries? When the first dinosaur fossils were discovered in the early 19th century, many people were sceptical about their existence. At the time, the scientific understanding of the natural world was limited, and the idea of extinct species of animals was not really widely accepted. And more so, the discovery of a giant prehistoric reptile was difficult for many people to believe and accept. However, as more and more dinosaur fossils were discovered and put on display in museums, the general public became increasingly fascinated by these ancient creatures. The public was particularly intrigued by the size and appearance of these creatures and by the idea that they had once roamed the earth. People were curious to know more about the dinosaurs, and many of them made an effort to see the fossils on display in museums. As the study of dinosaurs progressed, new theories about their appearance, behaviour and extinction were developed. The public became increasingly interested in these theories, with books and articles about dinosaurs being widely read. The public's interest in dinosaurs was further fueled by the popularisation of the theory of evolution, which suggested that dinosaurs were the ancestors of birds. This theory made people more curious about dinosaurs and their link with present living animals. And in the 20th century, the discovery of new dinosaur fossils, as well as the advances in technologies such as the X-ray and CT scans, helped to further our understanding of these ancient creatures. The public's interest in dinosaurs continued to grow, and they became a popular subject in pop culture, such as in books, movies and television shows. The movies such as Jurassic Park and its sequels are some examples of how the general public was captivated by dinosaurs. And today, dinosaurs continue to be a popular subject of interest among the general public, with many museums and other institutions having permanent exhibits dedicated to them. The study of dinosaurs is also an important field within paleontology, and new discoveries and theories are constantly being developed that help shed light on these fascinating creatures. The general public is still captivated by dinosaurs, much like those in the 19th century were, and we all have Mary Anning to thank for it, a girl who was forgotten at the time, but now we understand that she made one of the biggest discoveries in paleontology, which allowed us to understand more about the past than people at the time could even imagine. If you enjoyed my video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel, where I'll be making more content like this. I really appreciate you watching and look forward to seeing you again next time.